Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Meaningful Monday. So this Meaningful Monday is a recording, so thank you so much for getting the link and hopping on to actually watch it and investing the time for yourself, really. I commend you for that. It's fantastic. It's your time and it's precious. So I really am grateful that you have joined and that you're watching this. So the reason it's a recording is right now, I guess I'm somewhere overseas. I'm on holiday in Greece. So I thought I'd make a recording of this. And this is a really important Meaningful Monday. Now, for anyone who's new, just to let me put in perspective what we do on Meaningful Monday. Meaningful Monday is the first Monday of every month where I choose a different topic every time and just, kind of tear it apart, dig into it a little bit, and present it in a way that hopefully is helpful. And even if it's in just a tiny, it will land the message with you and hopefully improve your life somehow, some way, even if it's just the changing of awareness or raising of your awareness to take maybe a different step here or there in your life for the better. Because as we know, they say the biggest gap in the world is the gap between that we know and that we do, which is very true. We might know a lot of stuff and read a lot of books and listen to audios, YouTube audios, all kinds of information, but do we actually change? So it's really the application of the knowledge that we have that makes a true difference in our lives. So Meaningful Monday's primary purpose is to raise your awareness to live a better life. And first and foremost, just to acknowledge, of course, that we do create our own reality. We're creating it all the time with our thoughts and with our feelings. So the wonderful book by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, is the shortest but most punchy book, I think, in the whole world. And as a man thinketh, so is he. It is really true. We do create our own reality. And if we don't agree with that statement or think that life kind of happens to us, that's what is termed the victim mentality. And I'm sure you joining Meaningful Monday do not have a victim mentality. I'm sure that you're a victor and take charge of your life. And that's why you're joining. So thank you so much. And taking, as I said, the time out to do this for you. So Meaningful Monday, this week's topic is developing the leader within you. And I'm going to be talking about some top of the waves, so to speak, of John Maxwell's teaching on leadership. Now, the very best-selling book in the world, I actually have one right here. The best-selling book in the world on leadership is The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And, these concepts are laws, which means they apply whether we believe in them or not. However, in this book, Developing the Leader Within You, it not only includes things that are in that book, but it actually helps us integrate them into our life. And that's where the power lies. The power lies in the application of the knowledge. So what I'm doing to help people become more, I'm going to say more influential, but in a positive way, have more influence, a positive influence, make a difference in this world for the better. In other words, become better leaders. I'm running a 5-week mastermind, and it's going to be on this book, Developing the Leader Within You, the new revised version 2.0. So what I'm going to share with you tonight comes out of that book, and you'll get a taste of what is in store for you with the learnings, the teachings about becoming a better leader. Why should we do it in the first place? What's the value of it for me? What's the value of it for others? Is there something I should even bother doing? Well, absolutely yes. Definitely 100% yes. And this Meaningful Monday will tell you why. So let's get into it. The 5-week mastermind starts in November, and there'll be more information sent out in my newsletters about when it begins. But if you like this, please do sign up. There are only, I think, 10 or maximum 12 spaces in total, and we've already sold a couple of tickets already. So please stay with me till the end of this webinar, and I really do hope that you enjoy it. So let me start off by saying that I absolutely love the topic of leadership. And the reason I love it so much is I think it is such a fascinating topic, a fascinating subject. Why do I say that? Because leadership and the improvement of leadership can make a significant difference to not only the performance of an organization, but the performance of an individual. And I have to start off by saying that leadership is for everyone. This is not for people who are in managerial roles and having people reporting to them only. Of course, it'll benefit them hugely, but this is for everyone. So let me start off by saying, if you're a parent, you definitely are a leader and you are influencing your children every single day. What kind of influence are you having? Is it the best it could possibly be? Is it the most positive, the most reinforcing? If you don't have children and you're not a manager, this is still for you. Why do I say that? Because leadership is really influence. The true measure of leadership is influence. And if you think about all of our lives, every interaction with another human being is another opportunity to influence them. And I'm not talking about influence from a manipulative point of view. No. I'm talking about influencing people and gaining influence to them by adding value to people, helping them succeed, helping them get further, helping them to ensure they have the right resources, whatever it may be, adding value in any way. Now, you could add value in a volunteering organization, you could add value in your household, you could add value to a friend, you could add value to your colleagues, you can even lead upwards. However, I must say the highest form of leadership is leadership of self. We may talk about that a bit more. So this quote here, everything rises and falls on leadership, is so true. Everything does rise and fall on leadership. If you think over history, any organization or any country for that matter, if it was on an upward swing and things were going well, it was due to its leadership. If it was coming crashing down and things were really no good, it was due to the leadership. Everything does rise and fall on leadership. So I just got the logo at the bottom there. I am a John Maxwell certified speaker trainer coach. For those of you who may not know, John Maxwell is the world's #1 leadership expert, the #1 leadership author and speaker. Okay, so take a minute out for yourselves right now, and just I want you to think, what are your goals, your dreams, and your ambitions? Take a minute to think about your life right now. What is it that you really want? Are you clear on your goals? Do you have big dreams? Are you quite ambitious about being, much better off a year from now, 2 years from now, maybe even further than that? And the reason I ask this question is, this saying is very true. If you want to do, be, or have more, you have to become more. And one of the best ways to become more is to develop your leadership ability. Okay, so what I'm going to cover off tonight is basically some information that come out of those 3 books of John Maxwell, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, How to Be a Real Success, and Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. And the goal today is, in the time we have together, is to give you the maximum value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover off some absolutely tried and tested and proven ideas from these books of John Maxwell. And they absolutely are proven ideas. And when they're applied, really, really make a difference to our results. And this is by developing our leadership skills. Now, I want to start off by saying that leadership is absolutely a teachable skill. We can all become better leaders. And I have to say this, the best leaders all over the world, including John Maxwell, and he'll tell you out of his own mouth, the best leaders are people who are not really natural born leaders, but they have learned and developed the leadership ability. So it's more learned skill actually than a natural talent when you look at excellent leaders. The second thing is leadership is predictable. What I mean by predictable is it really does operate by law. So even though we're going to do the mastermind in November on the developing the leader within you, we are covering off ideas in there that are laws that come out of the 21 laws of leadership. And when we say laws, it's the same as saying the law of gravity. If I drop my phone, absolutely it's going to fall down, right? Now, that doesn't require your belief in it. You can dismiss the law of gravity and say, nah, you don't believe it, you don't like it, you don't care for it. It still applies. And it's the same with the 21 laws of leadership. They are predictable because they operate by law, and it's always the outcome is the same depending on the cause or the catalyst. So cause and effect. This is the cause, that's the effect, and it's always the same. So it's predictable and it's reliable. So just about John Maxwell, as I said, he's the world's #1 leadership author and speaker. I was very blessed to join the John Maxwell team in 2012. Went to Orlando and spent a week back in 2013 being certified by John Maxwell. I'm very happy and proud to say that Nancy, who works in my business and helps me, this year also became a certified John Maxwell speaker trainer coach. That's really awesome. And I even have a Silver Method graduate, Ben, who I don't mind, hope you don't mind me saying this, Ben, you're also a John Maxwell certified leadership speaker, trainer, and coach. So a couple of us in a little group here, and we just want to add value as much as we can. So talking about John Maxwell, he's written over 80 books, sold over 20 million copies. As I said, he's the world's #1 guru on leadership, so to speak. And the concepts I'm going to share with you are very, very simple, very, very practical, and very, very easy to not only learn, but actually easy to implement. But we do need to be intentional to implement them. So I'm going to cover 3 little excerpts kind of out of these 3 books. I had a look through all of them and try to package something up that would be value. Of course, if you want to know more, I'll explain at the end. You can join the mastermind where we dig deep into developing the leader within you. So what is leadership? I'm going to give you just a second to think about that. I might even stop the video and just run across the room and grab a copy of the book. But take a minute now and just say it out loud or write it down. Just give yourself about 30 seconds. What is your definition of leadership? Okay, so I'm not too sure what you came up with. Some people might say it's getting people to have a common goal. It's sharing a vision. It's adding value to people. It's getting people aligned behind, one common purpose and helping to mobilize that group to a specific end goal. All of those things are correct. Leadership is influencing people. So I'm sure you came up with one of those. Let me tell you what I have got here. Leadership is about people and for people. It's all about people. And when I say that, what I mean is, if you think about being an effective leader, it's not about you. It's not about yourself. It's about others and for others. It's help making things better for others. And that's what I mean when I say add value. And when we add value to people in a positive way, we gain influence with them, but not to manipulate, to help them and add value. If you think about the great leaders, I'll give you an example of Mahatma Gandhi. What a great purpose he served, to free his people, but without violence. So he influenced them. They could have picked up arms. They could have gone to war. They could have, injured the British soldiers just as much as they were being killed and shot and injured. But because of his influence, he made it peaceful, and no one got into a violent protest or war, and yet they achieved their goal. Now that's an example of incredible leadership, where he mobilized 200 million people. Gandhi, really a good movie to watch. If you haven't ever seen the movie called Gandhi, it's absolutely outstanding. Such a good leadership story as well. So being a great leader is all about having a genuine willingness and a true commitment to lead others to achieve a common vision and goals through positive influence. Now, please understand, this doesn't have to be in only a work situation. It would be awesome to apply this in a work situation because you can really get immediate feedback as to how you're developing your leadership ability. But think about your life in any aspect, whether it's with your partner, your parents, your family, your children, your neighbors, or the people at work, or even strangers, or the people in your community events. Are you part of a church or some other kind of faith-based organization? Everyone in your community, that can apply. Now, leadership really starts with leadership of self. So just to explain, if I had to say what are the hardest and the easiest forms of leadership, well, actually, let me talk about a work situation. If you are a manager and you have a team of people reporting to you, that's what we call the lowest form of leadership. Or if you're a parent and you are telling your children what to do, that's the lowest form of leadership. Why the lowest? Because they really do have to listen to you. If it's at work, you may determine their pay increases, their salary levels, their bonuses, even if they keep their jobs or not. So we have leverage over people like that, and that's why they will generally listen to us. So that's the lowest form of leadership. Also, as an example, if a child said to a parent, or a parent said, Tommy, won't you please go and do that? And the child says, why? And the parent says, because I'm your father, and I said so. That's positional leadership. That's also the lowest form of leadership. You're just using the position you have as the parent to boss the child around. That's not influence. There's a massive difference. So that's the lowest. The next higher form of leadership is having influence of people at your own level, your peers. So if it's in the home, it would be your spouse. If it would be at work, it would be people who do not report to you, colleagues in your team and outside your team. Can you influence them in a positive way? Can you mobilize people? Can you get them to help you? The next higher form of leadership is leading up. In other words, if it's in the work situation, that's how can you influence up the chain of command and influence your boss, for example, or even higher, the CEO. But the highest form of leadership is leadership of self. Why? Because it's much easier to lead people than to lead ourselves. I mean, I have to use this example. Please forgive me, it may not be you. But how many parents who smoke tell their child not to smoke? How many parents who are rude and abrupt with their children, stop it, do that, sit down, tell their children, excuse me, will you speak to me with respect? If the child does that to them, they're not demonstrating respect, but they're commanding it back. So leadership of self is the highest form of leadership because it really means that you have to lead by example every minute of the day. You have to lead yourself first. It's so much easier telling other people what to do. It really is. Do this, do that, be on time, show up. I want you to do 10 of these before 9 o'clock and whatever, anything. Much easier to tell people than to actually do it ourselves. So I love leadership because as we study it and we get to really get through all of this information, the challenge is to become better people every day, in every way, a little bit better than we were yesterday. And that's what I love about leadership. It makes us better people for other people, and it really does start with leadership of self. Now, I also want to add that talent doesn't necessarily equal success. How many talented people do you know? They're incredibly bright. They might have IQs of 150. They really have got incredible natural talent in some area or other, but they're just not successful at all. And how many people do you know? They seem to lack a lot of talent, a lot of education. They don't really have anything in particular, yet they're highly successful. So what's the difference? Well, talent will help, but something else is needed. And that something else is leadership. This other book, I'm just going to quote some statistics out of it. John Maxwell wrote a book called Talent is Never Enough. And it's absolutely true. Look at these two stats out of the book. It says more than half of all the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies had a C average, just C average in college. They weren't A students. Half of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies. The other one is more than 50% of millionaire entrepreneurs never finished college. It's not about talent. It's not about qualifications or education. Something else is needed, and something else is leadership. So our beliefs about why people are successful perhaps need to be re-examined. Talent is given, but we need to earn success. And really, everything does rise and fall in leadership. When we have very good leadership, we can take a company to the stars. We can take our household to better and better places. If you've ever gone into, or maybe you've seen it on TV, a household where it's just chaotic and everyone's running crazy in there and it's all, just out of control. You got another household and it seems like something's really peaceful and harmonious and organized and loving and respectful and, close and warm. What's the difference between these two kinds of homes? I can tell you, it's the leadership. My partner and many of my friends are teachers, and they always say, there's no such thing as problem children. There's only problem parents. It does always start with leadership. So what I'm going to cover off today are these three ideas. Why should I grow as a leader? Good question. Why should I? Should I even bother? The next one is, what is the true measure of leadership? And the third thing is, well, if I did decide it's a good idea, how can I grow as a leader? So I'll cover this off today. The first one is, why should I grow as a leader? Well, this is the answer. How well you lead determines how successful you are. How well you lead determines how successful you are. So in the 21 laws of leadership, it's called law of the lid. John Maxwell uses the analogy or this example of his hands. He says, if this is your leadership ability, and let's say it's a 5 out of 10, your results can rise and rise and rise, but they can never rise higher than your leadership lid. What I just said is a 5 out of 10. So if your lid is a 5 out of 10, your results can be what, a maximum a 4, at best a 5. But they'll never, never, never rise higher than your leadership ability. It's never happened in all of history, and it never, ever will. So if you think about that, what is your leadership ability score? Because if you lifted it, which you always can, because we have infinite potential, it means that you can absolutely become more and more successful, but it just takes being intentional and personal growth with a proper personal growth plan. So leadership ability, when we say determines a person's level of effectiveness, look at the first chart on the left here. It shows that if a person in the role they're doing, whatever they are doing, they're highly effective. And this could be in the workplace where you've got lots of skill and ability in the role that you do, or as a parent, in the things that you do around the household. How are you running the household? The jobs that you're taking care of, you're a 10 out of 10. You're fantastic. Great. So then you've got a very high score across the bottom axis. Your success is very high, but your leadership ability is just a 1. Well, can you see how effective you are? You don't really cover much area compared to the second one. With great leadership and increasing your leadership ability, let's say from a 1 or a 2 up to a 5 or a 6, you exponentially increase your effectiveness. So it's thousands of % improvement, not just slightly, a little bit of leadership ability improvement makes a massive difference to your results. And this is really why we should all want to become better leaders. Now, when it comes to companies, I want to share this. The neglect of leadership is really common, and it's a kind of problem that self-perpetuates itself. And what I mean by this is the way that most people get leadership positions is what? Is by their technical ability. So maybe take the best salesperson. I'll speak from example because I was in that role and in that environment. They'll take the best salesperson and they'll make them in charge of the sales team if they're really scoring goals year after year. So what they do is they promote them due to their technical ability, not their leadership ability. Now, leadership is a totally different skill set. So what's the result? You lose your best salesman, and now you gain a bad leader. Everyone's unhappy. If it was an accountant, you could take the best accountant, put him in charge of the accounting team. Now the team's all unhappy because the guy's got no leadership ability or the woman's got no leadership ability. So it's the same everywhere. The other thing is the achievement of a talented team can never rise beyond the lid of the leader, not of the team. So in other words, you could get a person who's got a very low leadership lid. Let's say it's like a 2 out of 10. And this person goes and recruits the most skilled and talented people in the industry. They are superb. The best degrees, the best experience, and the best results from where they've worked before. And now you're employing people in there, and let's say they're all a 9 out of 10. But the leader has only got a 2 out of 10 leadership lid. That team below him that's so talented can never rise and perform better than the lid of the leader. That team's results cannot exceed a 2 out of 10. And what generally happens when people are under a boss with a lower leadership lid than their own, they get frustrated. They get frustrated from bumping up against this lid. So what do? They leave. That's why companies lose good talent often. It's because the leadership is weak and the people underneath that leader are much stronger. One of the other laws I'll just mention in this book is the law of respect. And it said leaders naturally follow leaders stronger than themselves. So if we're not developing ourselves intentionally as a leader, people won't want to follow you. They'll want to leave and go follow a stronger leader. People don't leave companies. People don't leave companies, they leave their bosses. That's absolutely true. Think about the last time you resigned. If you have resigned from a job or left a job, it's generally because of something that happened with the boss. Sometimes the company, but generally the boss. So that's quite important to know. Now, what has never happened ever in history is that business ability can never rise higher than the leadership ability. It's never happened and it never will. Now, what I just want to also really emphasize is that your leadership lid is not the same thing as saying, well, you have limited potential. No. Your potential is unlimited. Abraham Maslow proved this years ago. I teach a program called the Silver Method, dynamic meditation program, if you may not know. And it's all about unlocking more and more potential. We talk about potential in the Silver Method quite a lot. Your potential is unlimited. There is no end to what you can do. You can keep developing yourself and improving yourself infinitely. And isn't that fantastic? So let's not mix that up with leadership lid. So if it's a teachable skill, well, then the sky's the limit for us. It just takes us to want to have a decision and a keen interest in developing ourselves. I've got a picture of a lamp there. It's one of my favorite analogies. It says this: if you take a lamp, imagine you are the lamp, and you are plugged in to the power source, the power supply, which goes to the power station. From the power station to the socket or the plug in your house, what electricity can come from there is literally infinite. It's endless. You can keep having power from that power station. Okay, so the supply is unlimited. Now the current is flowing into the lamp, which is through you. And if you think of a lamp, the brightness of the light that shines depends on the wattage of that bulb. So you've got a very low wattage bulb, maybe a 40 watt. The light's a bit dim. So your leadership ability is the same as that bulb. And how much light is emitted is like your results. So if you've got a low leadership lid or a low wattage bulb, no matter how much power is in the power station, it makes a dim light. A dim light. However, go and develop that leadership ability, turn the light bulb into a 150 watt bulb, and suddenly with that infinite power source from the power station rushing in, you've got bright light. And that's like you. If you improve the light bulb or your leadership ability, how much potential that's infinite can flow through you and be reflected in your results. So your results will significantly improve because more potential can flow through you. Why? because you increase your leadership lid, and so do your results move up at the same time. So your leadership ability right now is literally the lid on your human potential, and it's affecting your results. So the good news is you can always get better. So as I said, if your lid is, for example, just a 5 out of 10, like on this picture, your results are, maximum 4, at absolute best a 5, but they can't go higher than that. But you see how your potential can keep going, and it really does keep going. It doesn't end. Excuse me. So whether it's personal effectiveness or organizational effectiveness, it's always directly proportionate to the strength of the leadership. The other thing is, I'm only as successful as my ability to lead others. Every interaction with another human being is an attempt to influence them. If you're parents, you know this. You're always saying, please don't touch that. Don't stick your finger in that. Put your shoes on. Be careful of the car. Every interaction is an opportunity or an attempt to influence someone else. If you don't have children, it could be your partner. It could be your friends. It could be people at work. So the important thing is you cannot lead any more people than your ability to influence. So think about yourself right now. How influential are you? Are you the influencer in your circle of friends, co-workers, and family? Also, the higher you want to climb in your life, how ambitious you are, the more you're going to need leadership if you want to go far. The greater impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be. So to be successful, we need to lead. And to lead, we need influence. Now, the good news is that leadership is absolutely a learnable skill, because leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. One of the chapters in this book, the second chapter, says the law of influence. It says leadership is influence. The true measure is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And the ability to influence people, as I said, is a result of adding value to them. So the great news is anyone can intentionally learn to add value to people, which means that anyone can learn to influence more people. And influencing more people gives you a greater leadership lid. Now, influence is not position. People think that I have the position, I'm going to have the influence now. Give me the title. It's not about titles or positions. This was my big mistake when I was younger. Oh my goodness, I bumped my head so many times in my 20s. I assumed because I had the position, I was the leader. I was 22 years old in my very first job in catering, out of hotel school. I had 22 staff in my first role. Every one of them was over 40 years of age. They were 90% all male. There's also a cultural difference. Being in South Africa, I had everything stacked against me. Being female, being very young, and assuming the title would make me the leader. All I had was a title. I had no leadership. Why? I couldn't influence them. I must have had a head start for the first week or 2 or 3 just because I was put in that position and they initially listened. But that just falls by the wayside just like that. When you really want to mobilize a team, especially large like that, you need to have influence, and it doesn't come from having your title. So I never had any influence for them. It was so difficult and challenging until I changed the focus. And I really did want to change, and I wanted to improve things. And somehow, some way, I was going to find a way to, get things done better and be less stressed and have a good, functional team. And I realized the secret sauce was to change the focus from me to them. It's not about what can you do for me because I'm the boss. No, it's how are you? What can I do for you? What problems are you facing? How can I help you? Do you have the right tools, the right resources to do your job effectively? If people don't, it's the role of the leader to sort that out and make sure everyone has functioning tools and resources to get things done. How frustrating is it to have a job where your laptop's not working properly, or like in the kitchen, the chef doesn't have a proper set of knives, or the oven's not working correctly and hasn't been fixed for weeks and the poor guy has to carry on. No, that's not acceptable. So it's always to ask, how can you help them succeed? That's the bottom line. How can you help others? So as I said, I thought it was all about me. I thought it was all about me and about how much I knew. But I found out very quickly that people don't really care. They're not really interested. As bad as it sounds, they aren't interested in what you know. There's this famous saying, I just love it. It says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This is so true, and this applies in any relationship. So to be successful, we need to develop a leadership lid. All I can say is a little bit goes a long way. It's like the 80-20 principle. You increase your leadership just a little bit, your results will massively improve. It's fantastic. So how can you raise a leadership lid? Well, first and foremost, it starts with an intention. You've got to want to do it. You've got to recognize the importance of leadership. It will determine your success. The great thing is, see it as a learnable skill. Don't say, oh, I've never been a great leader and that's going to just be my fate. No way. It's a truly learnable skill, and you can be better and better every single day. And if you even if you're 1% better a week, you'll be 50% better by the end of the year or within a year. You can change. We can be so much better, so much more effective. So develop that skill. Don't rely on leadership programs and organizations. Don't rely on your company. Do it yourself. Invest in yourself. It's the greatest investment you'll ever make. There is no better investment than in your own personal growth. So a leader's role, what is it? It's delivering results personally or organizationally through others. The same as a parent. You're trying to get results through others in the home. So what it takes is an awareness and a willingness to grow. Now, where we are right now, if we're good and skilled and everything's working for us, whatever it may be, we're in our comfort zone. So I'm here to tell you, if you want to develop a leadership ability, you don't need massive courses. You don't need to go and study a whole degree or anything so important. Your current circumstances right now in your life is the best environment to grow. And as you improve your leadership awareness and try and implement it within your current circumstances, you're going to have to step out your comfort zone and into the growth zone and change a little bit. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable initially, but that's where it needs to be done. So if it's at home, in your family, what a great opportunity. If it's where you work, you can apply it right then, because you know what? Every one of us right now has challenges in areas of our life. If you're a parent, hell, it can be very challenging at times. Having the right influence with your children. Isn't this a great opportunity to see if you could be better at that and stop all the combating and try and work together in a harmonious way where by adding value, you actually get them to just want to walk over red hot coals for you. That's really where you want to get. So a good example is about accountability. So building a culture of accountability, I'll just give you a quick example. This is an issue most places where people talk about in the workplace. It's one of the most important interventions that you can make. So it's shifting the mindset from one of a reprimand to one of support. Think about this as parents. Shifting the mindset of reprimand to one of support. When we call people out publicly for falling short or criticizing them or raising people's awareness about their commitment, they start thinking twice. They definitely don't like it. It's humiliating. And this results in people downgrading their efforts. So it undermines the entire team's success. So punishment always results in two counterproductive activities. The first one is play it safe. People hesitate to stretch and try new things. It shuts down their learning. It shuts down their development because most growth occurs outside the comfort zone. The second thing that punishment does is it shuts down creativity. And that's really bad because we need creativity for improvements and innovation. And if people shut that down, they're just going to do what they are told and nothing more. And isn't it wonderful when you have people on your team that do want to improve things and do want to innovate? That's the best team place to have. So people will not change. They'll not do anything else. They'll do the tried and tested rather than try something new in fear that they'll be punished. So if someone's afraid of punishment, this shuts down the incentive to learn. Okay, so accountability is critical on all teams, especially leadership teams. However, this is really easy to get wrong. So I've got here how to make accountability a positive aspect of your culture and a productive outcome for your team. Just quickly, these 3 R's of reinforcement, of accountability, the 5 R's of accountability. The first one is reinforcement. Always reinforce the relationship. Tell the person how important they are, that they mean something to you, that you really care. Always show your commitment to the relationship between you and them. Okay? People definitely want that kind of what's called a psychological safety net. They want to know, even with your children, reinforce the relationship, that you love them and you care about them. You want to reinforce that when you want them to become more accountable. The next thing is restate the team and individual commitment. Attack the issue, but don't attack the person. Keep refortifying that commitment. Number 3, reflect on the situation. Let's reflect on what happened if something went wrong. Be open to new information. Be curious. What happened there? How did it happen? What went wrong? Avoid blame. Take it as a learning. What can we learn from that experience? Number 4, redouble your support. We're all in. Let's lend a hand. Help. One of the most influential sayings you can say to your children is, can I help you? Why don't you try it? Instead of reprimanding them next time, ask them, can you help them? See if you get a different response. Number 5, resolve to take action. That's what you want to do. That's the resolution. Take action. So conclude with very specific things that you're going to take action on. Agree and do those things, or else don't talk about them. So take them off the list if you aren't going to do them. All right, so here's some language of the lid. What I mean by language of the lid, if you are ever saying any of these things, or you hear people saying these things, share this with them, educate them, and teach them about the law of the lid. The first one is, I'm maxed out. I'm so busy. Or I'm stuck. Or I'm stressed. Or no matter what I do, it's just never enough. Or there are not enough hours in a day. There's the same 24 hours in every single day. The difference is how we use that time, how effective we are. Quick story. How about this one? I've taken this as far as it can go. Remember the McDonald brothers? Well, McDonald's were 2 brothers who opened the first store, and it was an absolute, it was the hit of the town. And they tried to franchise it, and it failed. Why? They had no leadership ability. So they said it can't be done. It's never going to work. Along came a man named Ray Kroc, who actually used to supply them their milkshake machines and some other things for their kitchen. And he saw a great operation, and he said, why don't you franchise it? No, we've taken this as far as it can go. It doesn't work. It never will. So he said, well, how about this? And he made a proposal and bought the system of McDonald's off them. And Ray Kroc was a person with a very wonderfully high leadership lid and great leadership ability. And look, today there are about 33,000 McDonald's all over the world. That's the difference. The McDonald brothers did nothing. They couldn't do it. Why? Lack of leadership. So what is the true measure of leadership? Well, it's not title or position, it's influence. I love the saying by Margaret Thatcher, being in power is like being a lady. If you have to tell people you are, you're not. So leadership is influence, and influence comes from valuing people. We must value people. The first step, I'm telling you, no matter what role you're in, where you are, who you are, how old you are, anywhere you are, if you want to be better off next year than what you are today, one definite requirement is you need to value people more. Value everybody, regardless of status. It's so true that saying people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. A quick example about Pick n Pay. The chairman of the board of Pick n Pay, well, in the time that I worked there in South Africa, so it's the biggest retailer in South Africa, something like Coles or Woolworths here. And his name's Raymond Ackerman. He's quite a legend in South Africa, or even in the retail world, people know his name. He's obviously quite an elderly man today. But what he used to do is to go visit stores regularly. And I used to work in hypermarkets. And whenever he came to the hypermarket, we used to know he was coming for a visit often. Everything would be perfect and spick and span. And you'd expect him to walk in as chairman of the board and go upstairs to the GM's office and have a meeting and discuss a couple of things after walking the store. Raymond Ackerman never did that. He walked around the shop floor. He spoke to the cashiers. He spoke to the cleaners. He spoke to the trolley porters. He asked them, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are they looking after you? Meaning the management. Are they treating you well? Everything that you need. If you saw anyone with a uniform that didn't look fantastic, he would say to them, are you getting a new uniform? I think you should ask your boss to organize that. He spoke to the people on the ground, and you know what? He had enormous influence. He was a wonderful leader, quite a legend in South Africa. And that's really because people honestly felt that he cared. He was never high and mighty and used to walk up to the GM's office. He spoke to everybody, shook their hand, and really took the time to listen. So it's this changing your idea of what have you done for me as opposed to what can I do for you? Are you getting all the support from me that you need? How can I help you? How can I help you grow? I love the saying by Zig Ziglar, you can have what you want if you help enough other people get what they want. So just quickly, some 5 myths of influence. The first one is the management myth, thinking that, okay, because I'm the manager, I must be the leader, or whoever's the manager is the leader. That's not true. Management is management. Management is controlling systems, controlling budgets, and maintaining the status quo, controls, and things like that. Leadership is about inspiration. It's about enthusiasm. It's about direction. It's about influence. Very different. The next one is the entrepreneur myth, thinking that because someone found a gap in the market and got in there first and quickly and, made an opportunity out of that gap, that they must be a leader. It's not true. They're very different skill sets. When it comes to leadership, you really do have to care. The other one is the knowledge myth. Knowledge is power. So if I have all the knowledge, I have all the power. Well, power is not leadership. It's not about power. It's about influence. We don't want to have control over people. We want to have a good rapport with people. The next one is the pioneer myth, thinking that whoever's out front, whoever's getting there first, or has ever done whatever first is the leader. Not necessarily. You do have to care about people, and it is a different skill set just to being, you could be on your own out there, being a pioneer. And the last is my favorite one and the most common one, as I spoke about the position myth. Give me the title, give me the position, and then they'll listen to me. Well, honestly, the title only gives you kind of a head start for a couple of weeks. And then people aren't going to follow you just because of your title. They're really not. So it is about having influence with people and earning that. And as we said, through adding value. So leadership is influence. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. And the more effective you want to be, the more leadership and influence you're going to need. So our attitude is also a good example. What's the big deal about attitude? Attitude is massive. Attitude is so important. It's the distinguishing factor between a successful and unsuccessful person is really about the attitude. And why is the right attitude important? Well, first of all, it's a choice. We can choose our attitude. We are never forced on how to feel. It's up to us. Secondly, it determines our approach to life. You can think about yourself, how wonderful it is to spend time with people whose outlook on life is a positive one. Their attitude is positive compared to someone who's just chronically complaining and negative. The outlook on life, it also determines their results. The only difference between success and failure is attitude. Also, if you're going to do a task, what your attitude is at the beginning is going to determine the outcome of that task. Attitude can also turn problems into opportunities. I love that. Even mistakes and failures into great learning examples and teachers in our life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, not lose, learn. If we learn from all our failures, we really get better over time. Thinking about our problems, we can say, well, this is an opportunity for me to learn something new. This is an opportunity for me to grow. That's a good attitude. As opposed to, I've got all these problems, can't cope. Very different. The last one, attitude can give us an uncommon positive perspective. Hallelujah. Absolutely. And don't we stand out as people when we're more positive and we've got a positive perspective? 100% we do. So go back to number one. It's a choice. Adopt a positive attitude because it's contagious. And if you're positive, you're encouraging, and you're open, your people, your household, your family, your friends will all be too. So here's the language of lack of influence. If you understand that leadership is influence, how would you know when you've got a lack of it? Well, here's some of the things. I've tried to make changes, but I just don't seem to have a voice. It's even with your family. I keep saying the same thing over and over, but no one's listening. It's so common, even with parenting. Or give me the title, give me the position. So one thing I want to share is, before people are interested in following any leader, they always hold 3 questions in their own mind. They might not say them out loud, but they're thinking this. And they need these questions answered. And they are, number 1, do you care for me? Number 2, can you help me? And thirdly, can I trust you? And they have to answer yes to all 3 if they're going to want to follow you. So put yourself in other people's shoes and reflect and think, the people around me, if they were asked these 3 questions of me, would they all be yeses? Do you show that you care? Do you show that you're the one who can help them and that you're the one they can trust? All right, how can I grow as a leader? Well, leaders develop daily, over time, over a lifetime, not just in a day. You can't read a book and then you're a great leader, or do a course, you're a great leader, or do a mastermind and you're a leader. You can't just do it and suddenly you walk out. It's over a lifetime. However, just like this picture of money, it compounds over time. And you really do see it in your life and in your results. So investing in the time to develop yourself intentionally has a massive return on that investment. So leadership is a learnable skill. It evolves over time. Just like the John Maxwell team, how other people have grown. They're in 160 countries around the world. It's a learnable skill. We're all learning from John, from his books, from his seminars, from each other, from other authors and other books as well. And over time, we get better and better. If you just think about anyone you know or yourself, perhaps, have you ever played a musical instrument or taken golf or tennis, or maybe writing or poetry or something like that? How good were you the first time round? Compared to if you really had deliberate practice, how you improved. I know from myself, years ago, I took up ice skating in my 30s. Geez, man, I looked so clumsy when I first got on the ice. You would just be terrified I was going to hurt myself. A couple of weeks later, there I was, back turns, all kinds of things on one leg. How? How do you get like that? Well, it's a process. Every week, twice a week, I was going for lessons. It's a process. And then suddenly you do a back turn on one leg. So it takes time, an investment in yourself, a commitment. And that's really the invitation of this particular Meaningful Monday, is to invite you to join a mastermind. And we're going to keep doing them. We've done Think and Grow Rich twice. I must say I love the people who joined, and they, most of them, all of them just about, except for one, joined Think and Grow Rich 2. Wonderful group, and I encourage you, if you're part of them, to join Developing the Leader. And if you're not, and you haven't done any of these, join the mastermind. It's a great community of like-minded people. We support each other, help each other, and we absolutely improve each other. So John Maxwell says, if you want to be motivated, attend an event. But if you want to grow, engage in a process. A process is longitudinal over time. And that's why I love masterminds, because it's not just one day and we're done. We come back every week, week after week. We're going to be together for 5 weeks. And we're going to keep learning, reflecting, keep learning, reflecting. And that's how you change. It's a process. So a process always takes time. So my suggestion is, people, whatever you are in your life, don't wait. Start now. You're going to evolve through a process. 5 years from now, you're going to be 5 years older regardless. Learn every day, improve every day. There's a saying that says success is when preparation meets opportunity. So when the opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. We need to be prepared when the opportunity arises. So even if it's in your workplace, become better, much better than the role that you're in. So when the opportunity comes, you're ready, and people will see it through your behaviors, and you'll be the first one they'll want to look at. I love the story of a woman who was a concert pianist. Someone came up to her and said, "Oh, I'll do anything to play like you." And she said, "No, you wouldn't." The person said, "No, yes, I really would. I'd do anything to play like you." And she said, "No, you really wouldn't." She said, "No, I would." She said, "No, playing for 8 hours a day, every day for 20 years, that's what it took me to play like this." So leadership's the same thing. You are developing a form of mastery, to be honest, over time through what's called an orderly process of growth. And as you bit by bit get better and better, it's towards mastery. So your success, whether it's personal, whether it's organizational, your success comes down to leadership. So the 3 key takeouts: leadership is a learnable skill, leadership is influence, and leadership ability determines your level of success. So it is important. Should I develop my leadership ability? Hell yes. You know, why should you? Well, your success is in the hands of your leadership ability. So everything does rise and fall on leadership. How do we change? How do we become better? Well, change starts with awareness. And to facilitate this, I'm running the mastermind for 5 weeks on this book, Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. It's the revised version. Awesome, awesome book. No matter who you are, where you are, single, married, family person, parent, boss, employee, bottom of the ranks, top of the ranks, it doesn't matter. This will help you become more successful in life, hands down, absolutely yes. So the masterminds for over 5 weeks, it's about an hour and a half, maybe some chapters are a bit longer, at the most 2 hours. But we aim for 1.5 hours a week over the 5 weeks. So my friends, if you're interested, please head to the website, JanineShakaInternational.com. Go to the events page and book yourself in. If you're unsure how to do that, go to my website, go to the contact me page, write up. Now I am away overseas in Greece for 3 weeks. I'm very blessed to have it as actually a birthday gift, going away for my birthday. I'm very, as I said, very, very appreciative and grateful for that. So while I'm away, if you want to join, you can get hold of Nancy or through the website. You can book yourself in. Seats are limited to a maximum of 12, and we already have a couple of people signed up. So if it's something that you're interested in, please do join. I'd love the opportunity to add value to you and to see you succeed and get better and better over time. Here's just a couple of testimonials. So the first one, I'll let you read it, or I'll read it to you. I like the fact that it was a recurrent meeting, recurring every week, which gave me the time to get into it. So that means to apply it. I particularly liked learning from the group. That's the most powerful part of a mastermind, is learning from each other. Everyone should do this mastermind. It will enrich your life. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be just for the workplace. As I said, it's for whatever you're doing in your life. And then Lachlan said, through the duration of the course, I found more passion for my work and learned what it really meant to be a leader, adding value to others. Beautiful. Finding ways to develop other leaders. Beautiful. And above all else, it's crucial to have a passion for continuous self-improvement. I couldn't agree more. So that wraps it up for tonight. So if you're interested, please go ahead, book yourself in. Got any questions, get hold of myself or Nancy. Otherwise, next time, Meaningful Monday will be, oops, that's the wrong date, 7th of November, it's meant to say. Wrong date there. It's actually this date. It means 7th of November is the next one. I think it's the 7th, maybe the 4th. Let me just check that quickly. Don't want to mislead anyone. Apologies, it's the 4th of November. Oh, this is the wrong slide. Sorry, the next one is overcoming procrastination, bringing procrastination to an end right now. So that's what we're doing in November. Apologies for that. That's not up to date. I'm not sure what happened there. And then as for upcoming events, the next Silver Method class is in November over 2 separate weekends with a gap in between of 2 weeks. And there are the dates. And there's the fee, and there's a free review for the rest of your life once you've done it, and a full money back guarantee on condition you attend all 4 days and do every exercise. Kids from 12 years can come to the November one. I think it's a great opportunity, being over 2 weekends. And at least one parent needs to be a silver grad for any child to do silver method. The kids only silver class will be next year. There won't be one this year. We've had it already in the beginning. So if your children want to join, absolutely welcome to join the normal class, as I said, in November. And it really is a wonderful mix in the group to have children and adults at the same time. Adults learn a lot. The kids are the best students, especially for intuition. So that's that. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up for tonight and let you all go. And thank you so much for joining. Otherwise, I'll see you again in November. If you do want to do a meditation, you can just go to the website on the Silver Method YouTube channel. There are many other recordings there, and just go to scroll to the end and you can just listen to one of the previous ones. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up for tonight and say thank you so much for joining. I hope this has added value to you, and I hope you learned something a little bit more about what leadership is and how you can raise your lid by adding value to others. Otherwise, have a wonderful month ahead and God bless.